Hello, everyone. My name is Gia Jones, and this is Parent Voices Unfiltered Live. And today we have a really excellent and important topic for this month, Parent Voices celebrating Native American Heritage Month. And today we have the pleasure of having two awesome guests. Um, for us to continue to celebrate this wonderful month of Native American Heritage Month, and that is Adrena and Noni. And if you can actually introduce yourselves to our audience. Hello, thank you for joining us today. If Adrena, if you could actually introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about your work and your connections to Parent Voices and your family.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adrena Carmona, and I work with Nectar Digital Collaborative, and I help Parent Voices California with their social media. I get the privilege to highlight all of the beautiful parents and community members that are fighting the fight for childcare. Um, there's just so many. Everybody, when you think of Parent Voices, you think of just childcare, but they're in the back end doing a lot more, people. So I get to highlight all that.
Thank you so much. Yes, and Noni, if you could also introduce yourself, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, Gia, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Noni Galloway. I am, for one, a parent of a 7-year-old, and I am also a community organizer here at the Parent Voices Oakland chapter. And yes, doing a lot of good work, not only for childcare, but for all of the babies and all the work that we're doing for parents as well.
Thank you so much. And such since this is such a interesting and important topic for us to discuss and have um, present different things in how we understand and celebrate Native American Heritage Month. I actually was able to get some current news and recent articles that I saw online about different um, people and various states and cities celebrating this month. And so I just wanted to get some of your thoughts on some of this interesting information. And so, actually, recently, the the National Institute of Health, they have a tribal health research office, and they actually have done some extensive research on deepening the understanding of human health and our relationships with ourselves and the universe. And so the doctor, actually, the researcher, he went into understanding indigenous ways of knowing. And what is very interesting about this article is that it goes into how indigenous people, um, the importance of understanding like health benefits in indigenous foods, natural medicines, such as willow bark tea, and then also traditional medicine and ceremonies of understanding healing with people that have experienced some struggles or trauma. So what do you think about some of these topics that are very prominent in the indigenous Native American community?
Um, I am Apache and I am Yaqui. Um, those are the two tribes that I was able to, for sure, pull out of my ancestry. I'm sure there's a lot more tribes, like tribal blood within me. Um, and, just as America wants it, they've ripped my history from me. So I'm still very much trying to get into the practices of Native medicine and the Native healing. There's some things that I feel are intertwined with other heritages. There are things that I'm like, oh yeah, that's because I'm Mexican. Yeah. And then I'm just like, oh wait, Mexicans are indigenous. I was like, so that's actually an indigenous thing. It's not a Mexican thing, but they're so good about being like, no, Mexicans are Mexican. And I'm like, no, y'all are on native land. So Mexicans are native and y'all are like, you know what I mean? So um yeah, I've gotten into teas, herbal teas that have helped with stress levels and anxiety. And then I have a cousin who has dove deep into our ancestral ways, and she's actually teaching me a lot of things. So as you were naming things, I was like, oh yeah, she does that. Oh yeah, she uses that. But me individually, I'm still uh, dipping my toes in the water of indigenous medicine.
Wow, that's really interesting. Very nice to know because those things are very important. I actually said, wow, even myself reading some of this information, just as you said, that is important that if you're, embracing these ways of living and how it's important for your understanding of who you are and how helpful and beneficial it is like for yourself and your family. It's very important, that people also hear these things too. So thank you, Adrina. Noni, did you have any thoughts about indigenous ways of knowing?
Yeah, so I am really, I would say, not very versed in the indigenous ways. Of course, I would love to know more. I do know just based on my little bit of family history that I would say, a citizen of the Blackfoot Nation. But that's all really that I know. I do know here in Oakland, they have a Native American Health Center that I am, a member of. And so it's a thing of like you seeing it, but there's not much about just like how do you be a part of and how do you use it to heal us and to nurture our souls and our minds. I do definitely believe that they know and you hear how much they are connected to the earth and how much they've used the earth to heal themselves. So just hearing Adrina with understanding, I'm like, I'm gonna have to reach out to you about the herbal teas and things like that. So I'm here really just to be kind of like inspired because I do know it's part of my heritage and I would love to know more about that.
I will give you my cousin's number because she actually stays in Oakland. So she actually does
Nice.
she goes to a lot of indigenous ceremonies.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's been telling me about how like they have like these sweat lodges type of like things where like all of like our like you sweat basically all of like our I don't know all the details of it. And I was like, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, like the toxins and stuff and all the things. Yes, yes, yes.
I want that. I want to go. So no, I mean, she travels like she goes to Arizona and like New Mexico, and like she's like, no, let's do this. And I'm like, oh
No, let's do this. Yes,
yes.
because there is a Native American restaurant that's here in the Fruitvale area. So I've been going there, and of course just patronizing it because of it is, an Oakland restaurant, restaurant. But the fact that of it is like it's the whole menu is Native American, and so it's like also, oh, okay, I'm getting to get a taste of the food that they eat. It's also been really, and it's been really good too. So I'm going not just because all the things. It's also a really good restaurant, and and wanting to just support them. So yes, I am here about the learning, all of it. Thank you.
Yes, me too. I just like indigenous ways of knowing. I've been also tapping into some of my indigenous heritage and ancestry, and understanding more about how things align in the universe. And it is also relating to my Mexican Native American heritage, which is interesting because I was also able to trace some of my indigenous heritage into into Mexico. So, which is very exciting because I'm I'm actually understanding more things about my actual family members, and deepening my understanding of why, and how I understand the things that I do in the world. So it's really exciting. Also, just to mention, the article goes into how there's like a health lens of understanding indigenous ways of health, and like physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and also even understanding relationships with families. And so it does kind of tap into the importance of that. And so I just wanted to know if you have any other thoughts. Like Adrena mentioned, you have a cousin that is really immersed into um, you know, the more cultural and traditional ways of understanding that, which is really beautiful. It's actually really, it honors these wonderful parts of ourselves that we value and will always be very valuable to people. And so that's why it's important we're celebrating this month as um, people of indigenous heritage, or if you identify with Native American peoples. So, thank you so much, ladies. Wonderful. I did want to also say, and also recent news, in Milwaukee, they actually have a museum that highlights Native American Heritage Month. And this beautiful museum highlights some of the traditions and cultures of Indigenous people. Um, and it celebrates the contributions that Native American people have made. So Native American people have made. And so, did you want to say anything about any interesting celebrations, or how you will continue to celebrate this month?
Um,
I was like, no, you go, girl, go.
okay, I'll go. Well, that is a good question. I definitely am, like I said, new to really kind of celebrating this month and really trying to do my part. But I do know out here in the Bay Area, which one of the PVO staff, her birthday happens to fall on Thanksgiving, and she was explaining that they do a celebration at not Treasure Island, but Alcatraz. So that they go there at dawn, and then they do a tribal or Native American or indigenous celebration. And so she was saying, since it's her birthday too, that's something that she does as a tradition, to go out there with her and her family early in the morning, and to obviously celebrate and honor those indigenous people here, especially, and I guess want to, as we're talking about it, acknowledge that we're on the Ohlone Nation here in Oakland, and so we want to acknowledge and honor those and thank them for their stewardship of this land. And so that is something I haven't known anyone to actually go to it, and then they have been talking about it. Nice, that's what's up. And so yes, so that's one of the things I've been thinking about, because I do know she's going to be going on the 24th.
Oh my God, if you can go,
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when we went, we left at like 3 in the morning to be there by like 4 to take the
The,
ferry
the
out.
ferry. Yeah.
Ferry out. But when you were talking about it, I got like super like goosebumps like all over, because
Yeah.
it just took me back. And it's because they also do that for Indigenous Peoples Day. It's
Yes.
it's called the sunrise ceremony. And because our ancestors are just so entwined with nature and its natural beauty and power, without the sun, our entire universe would not be here. Our world would not be here.
Yes.
So we all gather, and it's different tribes from like all over, and they do like their different dances, their drummings, their singing, their and it's just like this overwhelmingly like inside out type of like release of like connection. And it's crazy. Like the first time I went, I was like, oh my God, like why have I not come here like sooner?
Okay.
And then to also just like one, respect the land that was indigenous land, and then it was taken over and put a prison for imprisonment. And then and then how, like, I think it was like the 70s where indigenous people took over the land again. There's so much history on that island. So yeah, I tell anybody and everyone about that ceremony. If you can go to at least one, just to like feel that like and that connection, and to know that like you are surrounded with community that we're all indigenous people that are there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And to see us all in like all shapes, sizes, colors, and just see like we don't all look like what the pictures in history show. Like, no, like we are so intertwined that it's beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you. I will definitely do my best. I have a 7-year-old, so I'm gonna have to put him in the backpack and just put him on my back.
Let me know. My daughter's 9, and I took her for Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Loved it. I think he would love it too. So that's why, like I said, since we do have, I know someone who's actually going, I'm definitely going to try to make it. And, I'm definitely, yes. So, and with your recommendation too.
And I do want to let people know too that if you choose to do the sunrise ceremony on Indigenous Peoples Day and not have your child go to school that day, it is a religious ceremony. So they have to give that day to the kid. It's not unmarked. And they excuse it.
Okay, so not an excuse. Good to know. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's really important information to share. I'm also interested in, continue to embrace such traditions, and the importance of, my kids also understanding these important ways of understanding indigenous people, and values that we hold very dear. And so, in speaking of family traditions and some stories or experiences, I do want to make sure we have time to for you both to share any interesting stories or family insight about being indigenous that you would love to share with us all. So, if Adrena, if you want to share some more, we would love to hear more.
I mean, I just, I don't know, it's kind of like weird. It almost kind of like seems like voodoo, like, oh, that's like witchery type of stuff. But growing up, I used to always hear my dad and my nana, who they would always talk about this thing called ojo. And I was like, what is this ojo thing? Basically, it's just in Spanish, it just means eye. Like you got like kind of like the evil eye. So I was actually talking to a parent a week or two ago about I don't know if you've ever noticed what, like, let's say you're eating something and you're eating it and you see somebody watching you eat and it falls. And it's because they're looking at you so much that they want it. They like, oh, that looks really good. And it will fall. So that's kind of like the thing that they say is like, ojo, when it's like somebody on the outside is looking at you and like is envious of your beauty or your how you are as a parent, how calm you are. And I'm like, oh, like I wish I could be like that. It's just like this negative energy that is like put out towards you. And so there's thing where you would, just everything would be kind of going wrong because all of these negative like emotions and energy would be like put on you by these people or this person. And so I used to, I'm like, man, I don't know. I just feel off, like, this and that. And my dad's like, oh, you got ojo. Or my nana's like, oh, you don't feel good. Okay, go lay down. And I'm like, okay. So I would go lay down. And my dad and my nana, just depending on who I was around, they would get this egg, a raw egg. And they would, from like the top of the head, because like our energy is released through our hair and the top of our head. They would start at the top of the head and they would like go around my head and they would be like praying in Spanish or like within like themselves or like whispering. And I was like, this is so weird, like growing up. And so they would start with the head and then they would go over the face, the neck, arms, everything. And it was just so weird because there was sometimes where when it was like really, really bad, I would feel like this like heaviness. When you crack the egg, you leave it in water for a minute or two, just like kind of like crack the egg, put it in this water and just put it away. And they would show me, they'd be like, look, you had ojo. And there would just be this like one little dot that would float to the top of the water and it would look like an eye. And then there were some times where it wouldn't. And they'd be like, oh, no, you just don't feel good or something. But there was certain times where I was like, oh, shoot, there's really like an ojo. Somebody was like legit just like putting this negativity
Oh
towards
my,
me. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, this is like, people are going to think I'm like crazy. But then I talk to people about it and they're like, oh, no, like my nana does that to me too. Like, it's a real thing. And I was like, then I like learned about it and I was like, oh, no, this actually goes like, it's like historical. Like, no, their grandparents did this on them or like all these things. And then if you think about it, everything in life is energy. Like we're all energy. So it's like if somebody is putting this negative energy on me, there needs to be ways of like releasing it. And they never told me this, but I just found this out like a year ago that there's actually a way to send that negative energy back to that person. We never did that growing up. They never did that. But I just found out, oh no, if somebody gives you negative energy and you want to give it back to them, there are ways to do that too. Crazy witchery, right?
No, not at all. Like I wear the red string, in which people understand like it is to ward off the negative energy, the evil eye. And so, no, I totally get you. I also don't try to push it back. You know what I'm saying? That's what the red string is supposed to do. It's supposed to just block it so you don't send it and you don't receive it. But I got you. I get it. Like, the red string is, I guess, I didn't hear about that. My question though is when they crack the egg in the water. So it's like obviously like a raw egg, right? Or it's a raw egg, and then you sit it there. I might have to do that, but like I said, I'd be holding on the red string too, so to like make sure that that energy stays far, far away. But I believe it. I believe it.
yes. So thank you so much. I know that's actually really interesting. I was definitely, I don't know,
You
listening.
you were acting the way the outside world sees me sometimes. Like
Yeah,
you crazy. Like you were laughing and you were like, oh my God, this is crazy.
I know.
You-
No, I'm really big though on like different things like that, like energy, like holding like certain space and what that means, like for myself and like the work that I do. So that is very important, and especially if you identify with indigenous heritage, like those are ways to help understanding healing and
Yeah.
you know health benefits and understanding like nice things.
do either of you cleanse? your areas, your space, your
The
home.
stage, yes, yes. At the Native, I mean, I do it in general, but yes, at the Native American Health Center. Unfortunately, the pandemic stopped that, but they would have a room where there would be people in there all the time preparing sage, and you can go down there anytime to get fresh sage. But there's also like Jamaican spots and things like that that I go pick up my sage. But yes, saging the house on a continuous basis is always, and so that's one of the things that I do all the time. Yes.
Great. So also, I know we just have a few more minutes, and I wanted Noni to also share some really nice insight or story she has. So Noni, would you um, share more
Yeah.
with us too?
Yeah, so like I said, in my day to day, there's not a lot of traditions that I'm following to, but Adrena, you helping me get through to that. So, I'm going to try my best to make sure that I, for one, learn my heritage a little bit more and moving forward for me and my son, practice that on a daily basis. But I did want to mention that I do attend East Bay Religious Science, First Church of Religious Science here in Oakland. It's on Telegraph. And our Reverend Derica, on November 5th, in, celebration of Native American Heritage Month, Indigenous Day, did a sermon just for us to, as allies of this community, to make sure that we honor them and respect them. And so she had talked about some ways that we can do that. She also said that she, was in partnership with firstnations.org, which is an, a national, or it's an organization, that obviously is dedicated to ensuring, all of the things that is important to this community. So, it was a wonderful sermon to where it kind of really highlighted a lot of the things that, we maybe not think about, and just, interrupting the stereotypes of Native Americans. And so she wanted us to share, and is also to practice making sure that we acknowledge them in the way that they should, and, mentioning them as people of they're citizens and not members of tribes, and they should be called, or their preferred terms are tribal citizens, tribal nations, native nations, and also honor them as being citizens of their native nations, as well as U.S. nations, and honoring the fact that they have sovereignty in these spaces, and to continue to do that. And respect them of their sovereignty and things like that, because she was saying that, of course, U.S. has broken many treaties. As of right now, they were stating that we have broken over 500 treaties with the Native nations. And so I just want to uplift that part. She did also talk about the Native American 10 Commandments. And if I could share that real quick. And so I'm trying to also moving forward. So it was number one, treat the earth and all that dwell within with respect. Two, remain close to the Great Spirit. Three, show great respect for your fellow beings. Four, work together for the benefit of all humankind. Five, give assistance and kindness wherever needed. Six, do what you know to be right. Seven, look after the well being of mind and body. Eight, dedicate a share of your efforts to the greater good. Nine, be truthful and honest at all times. And 10, take full responsibility for your actions. So with that, like I said, her kind of just bringing that and uplifting it, I definitely thanked her for that. And moving forward, really want to, I'm going to print this and put this on my wall, moving forward, because that's all the things that I think we all need to do on a daily basis. So that's, yeah, what I wanted to share. Thank you, Gia, for that.
Thank you so much. I know I mean, there's so much more that I would love for us to continue to discuss. I think we've shared some really important things in how we are celebrating Native American Heritage Month, and what is important for ourselves, our families, and other people to know as we move forward. And so, just wanted to tell you both thank you so much for joining us today. I did want to, highlight just quickly, that also I'm embracing more of my indigenous heritage. And so I feel really honored to have this conversation, discussion with both of you. And so just thank you so much as we um, all continue to work together and honoring these beautiful things that we come to understand with um, people and awesome indigenous ways of knowing. And so, just quickly for Parent Voices updates, as you all know, we recently had our retreat, and this is a huge annual retreat for our budget priorities. Um, we went in and worked really hard to develop and prioritize some of these budget items in for our agenda for upcoming legislation visits and um, bills that we are pushing for that are highlighting some of the changes with families and needs for childcare, affordable and quality childcare. And so just wanted to tell everyone thank you for attending our retreat, all the parent leaders and organizers and other Parent Voices members that put in a lot of hard work at our retreat. And so you all can be sure you'll hear more about some of our budget priorities coming up, but I did want to highlight that it was a really
Yeah.
nice weekend, but we
I
were
want
working really hard. Yeah.
to highlight something, Gia, because I had the honor of being there, and being that I'm in space with two other Indigenous women, I want to highlight the fact that Parent Voices is a majority of mothers. And I'm not saying that there are not fathers that are in this fight, because there are, but I want to highlight the fact that a majority of the people that are fighting this fight are women that are holding that are fighting this fight hand in hand with their babies and their children. And that to me is like one of the best things that can highlight our Indigenous ancestors, is because our Indigenous ancestors, the tribes that we come from, those who were in power and in charge of tribes were women. The men followed. The men understood the power that women hold. We are able to give life. We are able to fight for life and like all of these things. And I really want to just like highlight that in that space, I was like, dang, there's a lot of strong women in this space. And I was like, wait, yes, because we are.
Yes, it was everything. It was my first time being able to attend. So I do, like you said, Gina, feel very honored that I was able to be in that space and to hear all the voices and all the stories and just be in the room together, hugging on each other, getting to know each other, the dinner, like all of it. So thank you. I just want to shout out to Blake and to Jennifer and to Mary and to everyone that made that happen. It was wonderful. And I feel yes, that we walked out, knowing our power very well, like Parent Voices does always.
Yes, thank you both so much. And so, to continue our discussion, who knows, we would love to have you both back on, and we can continue to have further discussions about Indigenous heritage or things that we would love to share more with the Parent Voices Unfiltered viewers. But just to give you, more to come, we will have a Twitter Q&A, and it'll be in a couple weeks. And so you can look forward to coming to my page on Twitter at Gia_Jones7 on Twitter. And we will be doing some tweets online. And so we would love to hear more about what you thought about our live today. And can't wait to hear more from all of the Parent Voices members. And if there's nothing else, I just wanted to tell everyone this is Gia Jones with Parent Voices Unfiltered Live. And until next time, take care.